I've spent most of this week in Austria, following that sentimental old story of the nun and the family of children who climb every mountain. Quite a lot of you have looked in to share in that story and paid more than a tenner for the privilege. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, The Sound of Music has been on at the stage here at Haverhill Arts Centre. It's a hugely expensive operation putting on a full-scale musical show like this. Those of us performing on stage or working backstage are volunteers, but all the rest of the costs are the same as any professional show. So who pays? Well, the answer this time has been you do, those of you who came along. It was sold out all week, and that means the income from tickets may just about cover the costs. Centre Stage receives no ongoing public money from a council or an arts body, although by being a partner of the Arts Centre and a regular user it earns an element of hire discount. And it gets some funding help from businesses in the town. But basically, it's another good example of Haverhill funding its own facilities, as ever. Nothing wrong with that. But this is The Sound of Music, probably the single most enduringly popular piece of entertainment you can think of. And Centre Stage performs just a handful of times a year. The Arts Centre itself has to run all year and provide a programme for all tastes. And amazingly, it achieves that, funded entirely now from Haverhill, since St Edmundsbury axed its grant and the shortfall was made up from our council tax. Compare that with the Apex, which will be costing us St Edmundsbury council taxpayers about £750,000 this year, and the building costs of which would have funded the grant to Haverhill Arts Centre for 100 years. St Edmundsbury has axed its grants for Haverhill and Clare's Christmas lights this year on the grounds that they weren't fair because Bury doesn't receive any. Those who have pointed out the unfairness of the borough's arts spending have wasted their breath, so I won't bother either. This week we learned that Suffolk County Council, which has been divesting itself of its responsibilities like a stripper for the last few years and farming them out to the private sector, is to create a heritage centre for the county. No cost is specified. Several sites have been considered and 2 are being put forward. One in Ipswich, one in Bury. Surprise, surprise. How can the county afford this, you may ask? Or the borough afford the Apex? I'll tell you. These are what is known as vanity projects. Maybe it's vanity on the part of the councillors, or officers, or on the part of the county's big towns in general that can support such things in these tough times. It is surely difficult to justify axing youth provision in a town like Haverhill and yet creating a heritage centre in a town like Bury that has a heritage overload already. I'm not saying these things aren't important. It's just that if times are so tough that we in Haverhill must now fund them ourselves, perhaps the same should be true in Bury and in Ipswich. Let them climb the mountains till they fund their dreams. Auf Wiedersehen.